The board of Birmingham City Football Club announced that Garry Cook has today stepped down from his role as member of the board and chief executive officer.
This is one of the best Aston Villa teams we've ever had. I don't know why we need to slag players off all the time.
Just a moment of genuine like football magic.
There was maybe a bit of hope that somewhere along the line, Aston Villa's kids could end up playing Birmingham City in a knockout game.
Maybe they'll feel the bounce in the next couple of weeks. Moyesiah had literally just gone in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Second City podcast with me, Callum and Dan.
And me, Daniel Sketchley.
We're kind of back in a rhythm. We're a little bit late this week, but there was midweek games, but we're back in some sort of rhythm. Dan, how are you? How's your week been? Obviously, we'll touch on your 20th anniversary of your first Blues game that we mentioned last week a little bit later on, but how has your week been?
Yeah, it's been very good, very chilled, quite literally, because it's been very, very cold this week, although a little bit better today. But yeah, all well. How are you? You keeping well?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. It's just been a week of a manic week, and the football hasn't really helped slow it down.
No, not at all. Yeah, it's great to be in a little bit more of a rhythm again in 2025, and we got some great stuff planned and so on. A bit more of a schedule this year, which is fantastic. And yeah, very, very happy to be back at it.
Yeah, and it's just game after game after game at the moment. So it's 3 games a week, I think, for both clubs for the next couple of weeks. So it is going to be manic. And of course, we've got the January transfer window on top of it as well.
Yeah.
Shall we get into what we're wearing? Because I think we've got about 6 or 7 games that we have to get through tonight. So, do you want to start? Because you're not wearing a blue shirt.
No, I'm not. And I think what we're wearing will probably spend slightly longer on. It's a bit more of a unique one, shall we say? A bit more to say about it. What do you think I'm wearing, Carl? I'm not wearing a blue shirt. You are correct. What is this?
Yeah, you're wearing a Real Madrid shirt. I believe it's the away kit from the 2019-2020 season. So it's like a navy blue, gold Madrid badge with the sponsor and the Adidas logo. La Liga patch on the side, is it? On the
Yeah,
arm?
right there.
Yeah. You didn't pay extra for the La Liga patch, did you?
No, no, it's just there. Yeah.
Damn.
Mhm.
No sleeve sponsor, I don't think, which is quite
No.
nice. It's a really nice kit. I remember this kit I'm pretty sure it's the 2019-2020 season. It's a gorgeous shirt.
Excellent memory, yeah. So why am I wearing a Real Madrid shirt? I just forgot to source another Blues kit for this week. I've just been busy. So I forgot to source another Blues kit. So I thought I've got this banger of a Real Madrid shirt upstairs. And so I thought I would get it on. I love this kit. It is like one of just my favorite football kits ever. And you're right, it's from 2019-20. And so unfortunately you couldn't make it on this trip, but 5 years ago, a few of us, it's almost exactly 5 years. We went to Madrid for a weekend and we did the stadium tours of both the Bernabeu and the Wanda Metropolitano, which of course is Atletico Madrid Stadium. And yeah, I thought when in Rome, get the kit. And yeah, so this is the away one. And a
Were you
very
not
tenuous
tempted to
blue.
have the home shirt? The
I mean, yeah,
classic Real Madrid white.
I was,
But
yeah, I
granted, that one
was.
is a banger.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was it. I was tempted to get the home one, and that felt like the natural thing to do, and probably what I planned to do before. But this awake, it was just so beautiful. Our mate Sam got the exact same one as well because it was so beautiful. And yeah, it's this like gold trim, and you probably can't see it for those watching, but it's almost like it's a navy blue, and there's almost like a lighter blue pattern across it as well, like a dotted pattern going all over it. Um, Kind of reminds me of like when you boot up the PS5 and it does the sprinkly thing across the screen. It kind of looks like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
almost. That's a very niche reference, I know, but that's kind of what it looks like. And yeah, the badge is gold. I just think mine's kind of weird sort of green color after like 5 years of just probably in the wash and stuff. I don't know. Um, yeah, the only connection Blues and Real Madrid, obviously the Bellingham thing. He was still playing for Blues at this point though, remarkably. So yeah, great trip, great shirt, great memories. Madrid did win La Liga this year as well under Zinedine Zidane, so that's another thing. So yeah, 2019-20 Madrid, and I promise I'll have some blue shirts on again very soon. Um,
Well, well, I'm running out of Villa shirts, so
yeah,
thankfully I've got this one for this week.
yeah, you have. You've got a brand new one, and I'll definitely get it this week. It's a blackout kit, special badge. It's your special 150th anniversary kit that you wore last week against West Ham, and you went to that game.
I did indeed. I'm trying to find where's the little detail on it. There's a nice little stained glass
Oh yeah.
detailing down on the bottom front of the shirt. The AV 150's on the back, but there's no point turning around.
Nice.
I wanted to get a number on the back of it because they did the special sort of font with no player names. But so I bought the shirt on release day. I went to the store and bought it on release day. And obviously, FA Cup third round, you have no idea who's going to play.
Yeah,
And
true.
maybe the natural course would have maybe gone to get the number 7 for John McGinn, but obviously he was injured, so he was never going to play. And so I was very tempted to maybe get an 11 for Ollie Watkins, but again, I wasn't sure if he was going to play or not. So I went without the number. But yeah, the kit is really nice. I understand why some people maybe go, oh, it's simple and it's an Adidas template, and I kind of get that. But Borussia Dortmund in a blackout kit,
Oh yeah.
possibly the same year that your shirt that you're wearing today came out,
Yeah,
and
possibly.
everyone went mad for it. And ever since then, everyone's gone, oh, I wish our club did a blackout kit, and I wish our club did a blackout kit. Oh, I wish England did a blackout kit. From a real shirt, not like a remake, like I think they've done a couple of times. Um, and now we've got one, and maybe some people are moaning, but kits each to their own. I think the badge is outstanding, and I can't believe we. It's another year with another badge. I
You faffed
cannot
about with
believe
badges
it.
for so long.
It is
It's doing my head in.
ridiculous.
Our WhatsApp
Um,
group is just you and our other Villa mate, just talking about badges constantly. It's driven me mental. No one
uh,
cares.
I honestly though they announced the kit with the one-off badge. The one-off badge is better than our current badge, like it's miles better than it.
Oh yeah. Your new one, your main one now, it just looks odd to me. I'm not just saying
Yeah,
that as a Blues fan. It does. It
it
just looks
is.
really
Yeah,
weird to me. I don't see it lasting for decades, to be honest. I think it's very odd.
yeah. But I'm not there to sell a business, I suppose. So if it works, it works at the end of the day. But yeah, I really really love this. I think the kit's really nice. Obviously Adidas, the quality is just amazing. But yeah, I think it sold out online quite quickly. I don't know how whether that was just to maybe create a bit of demand because they had plenty in the store when I went in the afternoon. Saw some of the old 1982 European Cup winning team in the store while I was there,
Oh
which was really
wow.
cool.
Nice.
Um, which was really cool, but I didn't realize it was them straight away because obviously they are before my time. You know,
Yeah.
it's more of my dad's generation really like they are like his heroes in a way. As whereas like maybe later on in the day, I don't know who else was there. I know that James Chester rocked up in the evening as that's someone that I would know as maybe like a cult hero or a cult legend. Um, as being effectively one of our playoff winning captains. Um, but it was still really cool to see them in the store. Um, in terms of the game, I guess we might as well just go straight
Yeah,
into
let's
the
get into
game.
it, yeah.
I didn't realize I realized this maybe a couple of days before. This was the first FA Cup game I had been to since we lost in the final in 2015. I had not been to an
Wow,
FA Cup
blimey.
game for 10 years.
I suppose you haven't had many opportunities, to be fair, have you?
But yeah, but that mostly because we never get out the third. We didn't get out the third round after we got to the final until last year, and a
Hmm.
lot of them were away games as well. So, um, and then I was on holiday for the Chelsea game last year, so thankfully I didn't go to that. Um, but yeah, in terms of the game, I kind of loved the song and dance the club kind of made about it. We were there really early. I've never seen so many people at Villa Park so early before the game because they did the £1.50 beers and pies and sausage rolls and things. And so everyone was down there really early. You couldn't get in the store because it was the queue was going out the door, and this was just as the team bus arrived, which is about an hour and a half before kickoff. Um, you go in. We just went straight into the ground, got a couple of beers, and it was just great. There was a free like sort of newspaper that they gave out, which had a couple of like a poster and a little bit of the story of Aston Villa over 150 years. They had the one-off program for £1.50. And yeah, and then before, we had the tifo, the fireworks. It was just great. It was great. I was uh they played a really nice video before the players walked out. It was about 2.5, 3 minutes long, with the amazing David Bradley voicing it.
Oh.
Um, you may know him from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Um,
Filch.
Filch from Harry Potter,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought the build up to the game was really, really good, and then the football started, and we were dreadful in the first half. We were really, 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 really bad. It wasn't a great game in general. We ended up going a goal down really quickly, as seems to be the way. First shot on target, straight in the back of the net. Nothing Robin Olsen could do on this occasion. And it was quite flat, to be honest.
Mm.
Because a bit like the Leicester game, we didn't offer very much in the first half. We kept a lot of possession, but we didn't really create anything until the last 5 minutes of the half. And I think the Villa Park atmosphere has been criticised quite a lot in the last couple of years. But ultimately, if the performance is really flat, it's actually you've got nothing to shout about,
No,
or it's
completely.
hard to then try and motivate the team because you're not getting anything back. It is, maybe maybe there needs to be a bit more from the fans in the stands. But I think if the performance isn't off, it wasn't like we were just playing crap. We just didn't offer anything. It was very
Yeah.
dull. I can't imagine what the ITV executives were thinking at half time because the game
Yeah.
was dreadful in the first half. Um, and West Ham didn't really offer anything after going a goal up. And it was freezing. It was -4. It was very cold, and I remember at half time, I was just there freezing. The second half though was much better. We kind of started to get a bit of a foothold in the game, and it all started to come from there. The atmosphere came in, and the atmosphere was really, really good for an FA Cup third round tie against another Premier League side. Um, we then managed to get the equaliser from a corner, the most blatant corner you'll ever see in your life. I don't know why people are moaning about it. They're definitely a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not anyway, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Um, so we got the equaliser, and it just felt like we were going to get the winner at that point. The atmosphere was really good, and the limbs when Morgan Rogers scored for a third round FA Cup game. Um, were really, really good. And I think it was not, I know the anniversary match obviously helped and the slightly cheaper tickets helped pack the ground out. But I think, when there's a lot been said about maybe where the FA Cup's place is it still this magical tournament that we have every single year? We had games on a Thursday night, for whatever reason, which was bizarre. And so many, especially of the championship grounds, Sunderland, Sheffield United, the grounds were empty. I think Millwall as well. There's
Yeah.
no one there. Um, Partly because of the stupid kickoff times where they're moving the games around left, right, and centre. Um, so I think our game was a nice outlier in that, especially, it was one of the ones that was picked for television, that it was full and it was bouncing. And I think just for the future, I'm not saying it was, kind of for the future and how we see the FA Cup, I think it's still important because it was quite sad to see these championship grounds that were basically empty. It
Oh,
was it,
completely. Yeah.
it was really sad to see because that's not FA Cup third round weekend is one of the should be one of the biggest weekends in the footballing calendar in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I completely agree. I can't, regardless of whatever competition it was, I think you can't beat like a big Friday night game under the lights. Like you, I'm a bit of a sucker for when they make a show of these things, get the fireworks out, all that stuff. And I think the fact that it was in the FA Cup third round and the club took that seriously, I think is a positive for sure.
Yeah, and the song and dance meant that we had to play a serious team as well. It meant we
Yeah,
had
exactly.
we couldn't afford to lose the 150th anniversary game by playing
Yeah.
the reserves and the under 23s.
But you know what cracks me up is you'll notice so we're here talking about the FA Cup third round, but we're still here. It really cracks me up when like pundits you say you watch like Soccer Saturday or Final Score or Match of the Day or something, and they talk about every year they talk about is it right that the teams rotate so much and they don't take it seriously because they play the second team, but without fail these shows always have their second string of presenters on it. I was like it'll be like Match of the Day. I suppose Gary Lineker like was doing the live game, so that's different. But like Soccer Saturday will shorten its run time and have different pundits on FA Cup weekend. They like the main ones all have the weekend off. That I just think is a bit ironic, pretty much.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is if you could say like take the Arsenal Man United game. Arsenal play a strong team and they lose. They'll go, oh, they shouldn't have played a strong team because they're fighting for the title. Why,
Yeah,
why are they
exactly. Yeah,
bothering with the FA Cup? Yeah, so you can't really win. Pundits, don't
exactly.
listen to them. Listen to us. We know what we're talking
Listen
about.
to us. Yes, the fans, the voice of the people.
The voice of the people.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're through to the fourth round for back-to-back years, which is genuinely it's 10 years since we did it.
Mm.
So let's see if we can make the fifth round. That'd be quite exciting. So we've drawn Tottenham at home, so another home tie, which is a positive, especially because we've drawn. It's not a good, not a great draw really. Not that Tottenham are great, but bearing in mind, had results gone differently over the weekend, we'd have had Tamworth at home.
Yeah, I know
Uh,
that's a shame.
like
That would have been pretty
that'd have
mental.
been great just because we probably would have been the clear favourites for that. But also, I mean, it's effectively like a little local derby. That'd have been
Oh,
it. Just would have
100%,
been it.
yeah.
Just would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and bloody Spurs,
So
trying
yeah,
to kill the magic of the cup.
Should we touch on Tamworth very briefly? That was I don't know if you saw the game, Carl. They put up a great effort.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah,
100 minutes, 0-0, and not never really looked under threat before that. It was kind of yeah, they did a great job. Little things that cracked me up as well. Like, did you see the goal was broken at the start and the players
yeah.
had to like tape it up and stuff? Um, and yeah, like it's been able to see like the snow dome in the background for the whole game and everything. I thought was quite funny. But yeah, credit to them. They did, and obviously the money that they'll get from that, even though they lost, is yeah, will keep the club going for quite some time. So that's great to see.
And we said it last week that they were more than capable of giving Spurs a game because they were at home. The
Yeah,
Premier
absolutely.
League teams, we've seen it throughout the years. I've seen it with Villa. I mean, you've had it before with Blues as well. I remember when you played away at Blythe Spartans 11 years ago.
Yeah, so do I.
Going away to these grounds, you don't want to go there because
No, you got nothing
they
to gain out of it. Like,
you got nothing to gain, everything to lose, and they're really tough matches on these really like, especially when you're used to playing on the billiard tables of the Premier League and
mm,
the Championship. So it was, they gave themselves a really good go, and they weren't far off really taking that game to
no, no.
penalties.
No, 3-0
So
was like 3-0. It was because the first one went in and then they'd like 20, they were just so knackered. Really, they should have scored in the 90th minute of normal time.
yeah,
I
they
can't
should
remember who it
have.
was. Yeah, they scored that. It's one of the greatest cup moments of all time. But no, credit to them. They did a great job.
Yeah. Shall we quickly touch on your FA Cup game? Because it was, of
Yeah, of
course,
course.
20 years since your very first Blues game.
It was, yeah, and very shortly with Blues, we'll touch on like the EFL Trophy game and then some news that came out today and so on. But yeah, let's whilst we're on the FA Cup, let's talk about Blues. We played Lincoln, and yeah, obviously our last episode we talked about it being 20 years since my first game, which was the FA Cup third round. So it's quite nice on the same week, 20 years on, to go to a home game in the FA Cup as well. And we beat Lincoln 2-1. Far from a great game, far from a great performance. The early, like a tw midday kickoff as well was quite hard, and it was. I know you said this about the Villa game. It was so cold. It was like absolutely sub-zero. And
I
we were going
refuse to
out
believe that it
afterwards.
was colder than the Friday night, though. It was
It
minus
probably
four
wasn't.
in Villa Park.
Oh no, it wasn't quite that cold. But we were meeting up with some mates afterwards, so I'd kind of dressed for that more. So I was just freezing at the game. It was not very smart of me. Um, But yeah, not. Oh, first of all, we'll touch on the attendances. Nearly 18,000 for an FA Cup third round game at Blues. That's better than like half the attendances we were getting a couple of years ago for the league games. So it's not what we've been getting for the league games this year, but it's good nonetheless. Can't complain.
Not bad for the tie that you had as well.
No, exactly. It's a pretty uninspired draw, really. But I thought Lincoln gave us a decent game. They're nothing amazing, but they were pretty organised and then nearly got back into it at the end. But we did score after well, I was very nearly missed the first goal because we scored after like, I think it was 32 seconds. It was the fastest goal at Blues in like 20 years at St Andrews or something mental. But my train got delayed getting to the ground. I very rarely get the train. I normally like drive or get a lift. Um, but my train was delayed. So I was like, great. I was at Barnt Green Station. I was like, I'm going to have to just jump in an Uber or I'm going to miss the start of the game. And I hate missing the start of the game. Even if
Yeah,
it's
same.
like, even
Yeah.
though like 99% of the time nothing happens, it just feels odd to me. Um, and so I just had to fork out for an Uber and bombed it up. And it's a good job I did because Ayumu Yokoyama scored after like 30 odd seconds. Um, And then the game kind of steadily went along. We weren't great, looked pretty uninspired. Davies changed the team up a bit, so it was good to see some of them lads get a game, like Samstead and a few others that we haven't really seen that much of. But then I think Chris Davies summed it up as a game that didn't really have much to remember it by. Then had just a moment of genuine like football magic. I mean, it
It's
was.
probably the goal of the round, isn't it?
Oh, easily. I'm off the top of my head, taking out context. So, like, because if you ask me what's the greatest Birmingham City goal, goals like Obafemi Martins comes up and stuff, but it's not actually a great goal,
No,
is it? It was
it's
a
not a
great
good
moment.
goal. It's a great moment.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. If you're just talking the goal, it's about as good as I've seen at a game in person, and that's Lyndon Dykes in the 78th minute, I think it was. And Dykes hasn't scored in the league all season. He's been getting a bit of flack off the fans. But it's like Gaza-esque. It's unbelievable. It's like a long ball, brings it down with was it with his shoulder, I think, and then he flicks it over your man, lets the ball bounce, takes it on his chest again, and then as the ball comes down, he volleys it in. Absolutely outrageous goal from outside the box. Unbelievable. Very happy for him. I actually said on the pod last week he needed a goal, and what a goal to get for it. We conceded a penalty late on. Alfie Chang, who just came back from a long injury, had just came on the pitch, so it's great to see him back. And he was actually the one adjudged to have fouled the player to give away the penalty. On replay, it's very harsh. In the moment, to be fair, I thought it was a fair penalty, but replay is very harsh, so I don't think too much can be held against Chang, really. I think he quite clearly gets the ball. So yeah, 2-1, and then we had a very exciting draw. We're playing Newcastle at home in the next round. We haven't played Newcastle, I don't think, since 2017.
It'll
Um,
be will it not be 16-17 when they were in the championship because they got relegated with us.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think 2017, and I think we played them in the FA Cup that year as well. So yeah, really looking forward to that. We don't know exactly what day that. I think it's the February 6th to the 10th, so it'll be one of them. But I would love it if it's like a big night game or something. Get packed out St Andrews. You know, Newcastle are going to bring loads and loads. So really looking forward to that. And of course, we famously played Newcastle in the FA Cup in 2007, which I'm sure you remember, Cal. A famous day. So we drew them at home, third round. We drew 2-2, and we needed a late goal from Seb Larsson. We were in the Championship, they were in the Premier League. But then, famously, the replay, we won 5-1 at St James's Park. So, obviously, no replays this time. I'll take the 5-1 just at St Andrews this time. That'd be lovely. And you know me, I've been moaning about how kind of uninspired some of the draws we've
Yeah,
had
yeah.
over the last few years have been. So to get, you know, I know it's not Man United, but they're a Newcastle big club. Looking forward to that, and yeah, should be a great atmosphere. So yeah,
They're better than Man United. So,
yeah, I know.
adjust your
You know what I
perspective
mean.
here.
Yeah, that's me. That's a noughties kid talking there. You know, it's can't shake it. No, gotta owe them respect. They're on an unbelievable run of form at the minute. Um, and so yeah, they're one of the. I mean, Isak is like the best striker in Europe at the minute. He's
Yeah.
like playing out of his skin. So yeah, that was Blues in the FA Cup this week.
And then we had midweek games. We might as well touch on the Virtu Trophy.
Yeah.
For Blues and for Villa because the Villa under
Oh yeah,
2021s or
true.
under 23s were also in the same round, and there was maybe a bit of hope that
No.
somewhere along the line Aston Villa's kids could end up playing Birmingham City in a knockout game, but unfortunately they did get knocked out at home to Bradford City. They got to play at Villa Park, of course. They put up a great fight. They lost 3-1. But to get, the under 23 teams, they should not let's not beat around it. They should not be in this competition, full
No, no,
stop, and that's
no.
the end of it. Um, but they're there, and so we're going to talk about the Aston Villa side of that, which is it's a great experience for them to play against professional footballers at a pretty good level. And to get to this stage of the competition, not many under 23 teams do. They're all out of it now. I think they did themselves proud. And to get out of the group, I think is just a major achievement because so many of them finished bottom of the group. To get out of it was fantastic. And there's a couple of talented players in there that will have some really good careers, I think. So just well done to them. And but you're still in it.
We are. We march on.
Just.
Just about. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the game. I was at work, but I've done everything I can to catch up with it. And I think, in fact, I thought the game had gone to penalties, and I even texted our group. I was leaving work and I was like, I'd seen it was 1-1. I was like, the game must be going to penalties. And I texted our group something like, what did I put? I put something like, can't believe we're going to penalties against the
Yeah.
Farmers, Swindon or something. And then I got
Who don't
home,
win.
who don't win. 25 minutes later, I drove home and I was like, oh, we won. 2-1, we scored in the last minute, 89th minute. And I'm only joking, by the way. Swindon are not Farmers. I owe them some respect to it. They've been improving a little bit lately since Ian Holloway went in there, I believe. Um, but no, not by all accounts, a very uninspired performance. Not great at all. But good to see Ayumu Yokoyama score again. By all accounts, he actually played a lot better as well. Despite his goal against Lincoln, I don't think he actually played that well. I think um, he's got all the technical ability, but no like composure on the ball at all. I completely get why Chris Davies doesn't trust him yet to start league games. I absolutely get it. Um, but no, we conceded a late goal, actually. I think it was about, again, nearly 80 minutes where it comes to 1-1. And then very late on, it's very odd. I don't know if you've seen the winning goal, but it's like a corner and it hits off someone and goes in. It looks like Lyndon Dykes is our nearest man to it to my eye, but then he's not really running around celebrating. So I'm assuming it wasn't him that gets the touch. I believe it was credited to an own goal, to the same player for Swindon who had scored their equaliser 10 minutes earlier. So that's a bit unlucky. But we're through. Credit to Chris Davies as well for playing a few changes in there, but played a very strong team, otherwise taking the competition very seriously. And I said this after the last round. Everyone's kind of we some people kind of take this competition not too seriously, but if we got knocked out, people would have been livid. Like if
Yeah,
we don't win it,
100%.
people will be furious. So he's kind of got to put out a good team and make sure he gets a result. So credit to him for that. So yeah, we beat Swindon 2-1. Although whenever I think of Swindon now, when I was in the queue to get in for the Lincoln game, someone behind me in the queue, when you just know someone's like bullshitting, basically.
Yeah.
He was going, yeah, I'm going to Swinton away on Tuesday. Yeah, yeah, Swinton away. I was like, Swinton sell insurance, mate. I don't think you're going to the game,
Yeah.
seeing as you can't even get the name of the team up. Um, yes, that's all I think of now. But yeah, through to the quarterfinals. I'm manifesting Cheltenham away because I think we've got to play a team in the southern half of the draw still. So it's like a 1 in 3 chance we'll get them. I'd love it to be away. Went to uni in Cheltenham. That'd be really cool for me. That'd be a nice trip for me. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Fingers crossed. Do you know when the draw is?
It's Saturday morning, I think. Saturday the 18th, I think. Because weirdly, there's 2 games still to be played in the competition. I think the Wrexham game is one of them actually, and it's one of them is next week, and then one of them's not till February. So we'll have to wait for a couple of weeks to see the entire picture. But the draw is on Saturday the 18th. Yeah,
Lovely stuff. Uh, we had a Premier League game on last night, Wednesday night,
yeah,
away at Everton, and it was the new manager bounce returns because we had Graham Potter in the FA Cup, and now we had David Moyes going back to Everton all these years later.
yeah,
Um, it's funny. It's funny. At the start of the season, there was this trend on Twitter where people were talking about the Barclays Premier League era and like that sort of late noughties era of the Premier League when you had your 4-4-2 and your big striker and your cult heroes, your Ben Jarnies and your Roque Santa
yeah.
Cruzes and
Morton Gamps
um
Pedersen,
Morgan Gamps Pedersen, like prime Ashley Young.
Yakubu. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
and people talking about how like Pep Ball has like taken all this away and like the Premier League's not really what it was. It's just like a nostalgia thing.
yeah. Of
So
course.
after all that, I remember the weekend that trend was going viral on Twitter. John Duran, who is like a peak prime Barclays player that's reincarnated now, smacked that goal in against Everton. And just so many things this year have kind of like almost felt like it's like a callback. And David Moyes going back to Everton, like I never thought I'd see the day. And
Yeah.
it's just something really poetic about it. And it's just, I don't care about Everton, but it was just, I don't know, it just calls back to our childhood of him being
Oh
the
yeah.
Everton manager
It's like
at
a
Goodison
rare
Park.
yeah. It's such a I think about it in the same way. Like, there's not many. You think back to say like 20 years ago when we were like in primary school and stuff. Think of like maybe a film franchise. There's not many like film franchises that are still going now from then, and it's almost like a little connection back to it or something, or like a TV
Yeah.
show that's still running from back then. It's like a connection back to that time. Little things like this in like a footballing sense. Like David Moyes he's like one of the very very few through lines. Being at
Yeah.
Everton
Yeah.
when we were kids and now. Yeah,
He's got to be one of the few managers that was managing when we were kids that is still going now. There can't
yeah,
be that
yeah.
many others. So,
No, no.
But all that aside, I really hoped we'd beat them last night. And to be honest, before the game, I would have taken a draw. I really thought under the lights, first game back, Goodison
Yeah.
Park uh
Oh yeah.
was
Yeah.
going to be bouncing. Even though they're on a really, really bad run of form, they're once again fighting relegation. They are not a very good team. I would have taken a point before the game because I thought it was going to be a really tricky night. Um, but we played really well. The first half, again, nothing spectacular, but we actually had some really good chances. Maybe on another day, Jacob Ramsey, buries that chance at the end of the half. Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins find the back of the net as well. But we were pretty competitive, and we did concede a couple of chances like we always tend to do. But either they were finished very poorly, or they were comfortable saves. And Boubacar Kamara, who was outstanding. Blocked one off the line very early on from a very weak shot from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who we'll just quickly touch on, was absolutely terrible.
You were slagging him
Um,
off last night.
I was slagging him off in the group chat
Yeah.
last night. I think it's just because I remember when he broke through at Everton, I never really rated him that much. And then under Ancelotti, especially in the lockdown year, he had an amazing season,
Yeah.
scored a load of goals, went to the Euros, and I think he was linked with moves away. I'm sure Arsenal were linked with him.
Yeah, there were. Yeah.
And and it was like, oh, okay, he has come of age. He is finally this player, this good striker that everyone thought he might be. Um, but he's been hampered by injury, and his goal scoring record in the last couple of years is appalling, especially when he was in a Sean Dyche team that lumped the ball from set pieces into the box. He's a big, tall, strong striker. He should be a lot better than what he is, and it's only really Ancelotti that managed to get anything out of him. And a good, if he was in his Ancelotti form, he'd have had a couple last night because we give chances away to teams. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. The second half, we scored a really good goal. Morgan Rogers won the ball back and put Ollie Watkins through, and he buried the chance. Jordan Pickford was sort of in no man's land and probably should do a bit better. But Ollie scored. You could see the weight of the world lifted off his shoulders. I don't know what it is with our fan base. Sometimes we just love to slag a player off, and it has been Matty Cash for quite a long time. And in the last couple of weeks, it's become Ollie Watkins, and I have no idea why. You know, he isn't a maverick like John Duran who will just pick the ball up 20 yards out and just smack it at goal and hope it goes in. Um, but he's the best striker we've arguably ever had, and he will break our Premier League goal scoring record. Um, and I don't know why when we're in one of the most successful eras of our lifetime, this is one of the best Aston Villa teams we've ever had. I don't know why we need to slag players off all the time. They're slagging Ollie Watkins off on Twitter for missing a chance that he probably should score if he's not in great form, and he's not had an amazing season, but his numbers for not having an amazing season are really good. If you
Yeah.
consider he's not really hit very good form for the most part. So um, we're allowed to have two very good strikers and without slagging them both off. Um, so I was really happy to see him score. I really like John Duran, and I think he's going to be I think if he keeps his head screwed on, he's going to be a world-class striker. Um, I do think that we're a better team with Ollie Watkins in. He might not be as clinical as John Duran, but I think as a whole team, I think we are stronger and we are better. John Duran has improved a lot on his overall game this year, but I do think that Ollie is for now still. If we're playing our strongest 11, I do think Ollie has the striker slot. Um, but we got the goal and we defended really well after that. And Everton, they didn't offer too much, but they had a couple of really good chances at the end. They had a golden chance right at the end that Calvert-Lewin should have scored. But honestly, to go last time at Goodison, to go there and get a 1-0 win in the circumstances, under the lights, new manager bounce, the romanticism of the David Moyes appointment, I think it was a really good result, and the results have really gone our way in this midweek round of fixtures, and we're now, I think, 3 points off the top four again. And I think when you consider that we have not been at our best this year, that was a good. We're actually on a pretty good run of form, results wise. So, um, you just think, yeah, I think back to that Nottingham Forest game, and you think of the form Nottingham Forest are in, and they gave Liverpool a really tough game this midweek as well.
Oh yeah.
how we should have beaten them at the City Ground in mid-December. Like I think back to that game so much at the moment, going, God, if we'd have just seen that game out, we'd have been right up there. We'd have brought Nottingham Forest back down a bit as well. So because they're going to be tough to catch. I believe we can catch them, but we've got to screw some results together now.
Yeah, I must say I was surprised you beat Everton. I wonder if you just got in. Maybe they'll feel the bounce in the next couple of weeks. Moyes had
Yeah,
literally just gone in
it's
like
the same
a
with
day
Potter as
before.
well.
Yeah, who, I mean, I literally said on the pod last week, I was like, oh, well, West Ham won't get a manager in if Lopetegui goes for your game. And alas, there he was. No, so I do annoyingly think that's a very good result for you against admittedly quite a poor team. Shall we move on to some housekeeping, Cal?
Yes, because there was some big news that actually broke today from Birmingham City, and that is, and I'm really glad to say this because I do not like him, that Gary Cook has left.
Oh, interesting.
And
I'll ask in a minute why you don't like Gary Cook if that's that's
yeah,
unless you
I mean, I'm happy to elaborate.
yeah, sure.
I don't know how well he's done as a CEO for you anyway, but I think
Yeah,
from the interviews I've heard of him at Blues, he was the man who really tried to push moving the Wrexham game into America, and
right,
I think
right,
he's
yeah.
someone that would do is a businessman that would doesn't understand the values of traditional English football and would happily, rip that up for a few quid.
Okay, that's
That's
interesting.
kind of my opinion on that.
That's very fair enough. Yeah, a bit of a surprise, I must say. Came very out of the blue. Yeah, the statement just says it's. I won't read all of it. I'll just read a section of it. The board of Birmingham City Football Club announced that Gary Cook has today stepped down from his role as member of the board and chief executive officer. The board has accepted Gary's decision, which he has made for personal reasons, but are pleased to confirm that he has agreed to remain a member of the club's advisory committee, and he will also continue to serve as a trustee on the Birmingham City Foundation, ensuring that the organisation continues to benefit from his expertise and commitment to advancing its mission. Tom Wagner goes on to thank him in the statement, and it says to ensure a smooth leadership transition, Jeremy Dale, who was, I believe, very integral to the takeover process happening a couple of in 2023. Jeremy Dale will assume the role of interim CEO effective immediately. So what we can take out of that, it sounds like it's more of a personal reasons thing. He's not lost his job or anything like that. Sounds like it's all personal reasons, and of course, on a human level, I hope everything's okay, and we send our best to Gary Cook in that sense. The fact that he's staying on makes me. I don't want to speculate too much, but it sounds like yeah, there's probably been no falling out there. It probably is genuinely just some sort of personal matter. A bit of a surprise though. Obviously, Gary Cook is kind of been the face of the sort of ownership. Obviously, Wagner is very front and center, but obviously he's in America a lot of the time. Gary Cook is actually in the UK. And obviously his work with Man City was kind of compared to a lot. Um, Blues undoubtedly have taken huge steps under his time as the CEO at Blues, and little things like you mentioned is the American connection and so on, and trying to move the Wrexham game to America or something like that. Yeah, there has been that side, and I think like the Wrexham game where Beckham and Brady and all them were there. It's probably a lot of him is his influence. Like you say, he is a
Yeah,
businessman
probably.
first and foremost. And but you know what? I really enjoyed that night, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna
I
complain.
mean, I mean, I'm all for them making the song and dance of it
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
at the where the game's meant to be played. I mean, I think there's just been a round of Serie A that was played in Saudi Arabia, and like there's
yeah,
La
yeah.
Liga games that are going there, and I just don't agree with that.
That's fair enough. I think he's probably achieved a lot. A lot of things have improved at the club. My cousin James actually said he met him about 6 months ago. He just bumped into him by the ground one day and said he was really great and showed them round. And at the time, the is it the box to box bar? I've never actually been in. It wasn't open at that point properly, but he took him in and showed him round it and what it was all going to look like and so on. So I think the club has probably achieved an awful lot under him, and I actually think he probably. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think we may actually see. Hopefully, if Jeremy Dale and then whoever takes on the job full time, hopefully they come in and we get someone equally passionate and competent. Obviously, Gary Cook is a Blues fan, we believe. Um, I just think he will be probably defined by the Rooney thing and no fear football, and it's kind of widely believed the Rooney appointment was through Gary Cook and so on. Which I think is a bit of a shame. It's kind of sums up Knighthead in general. There's been so much achieved, and it's just one or two errors, one or two bad decisions have just set
But
us
I
back a
guess you're
bit.
always
But
going to have that with such
exactly,
change and such upheaval and the way and the speed that they've really tried to do that. You're never going to get everything
exactly.
right. It's just that the
No,
Rooney
yeah.
one was really costly.
It was, yeah, it was. So, yeah, there's that side to it. But first and foremost, we hope everything is okay and wish Gary all the best. And I am kind of glad to see he's going to be sticking around in some capacity. I'd imagine he's a man with an awful lot of connections, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's been quite heavily involved in like the Delta sponsorship and things like that, and undefeated and so on. I'm sure he's probably got some sort of big say in a lot of that. So he deserves credit for that if so. So yeah, that's the bit of a surprise news that Gary Cook is going to be leaving. Only other thing with Blues, and it's not even really about Blues, but obviously one of our big promotion rivals this year has been Wickham. They've had an unbelievable season, currently sitting second. I don't know if you saw though, Cal, they've lost
I
their manager.
did. Yeah, Matt
Yeah,
Bloomfield's gone to Luton
yeah,
to
yeah,
replace Rob Edwards. Yeah, that's. I mean, I live in Wickham, and okay, it's
yeah.
not really a footballing town, but yeah, that is a hammer blow.
Mm.
I can't remember the exact statistic and it's a really good, and I'm annoyed that I can't remember it. But I think it's the first time since like 2003 where Wickham are going to play a game this weekend that's not going to involve Matt Bloomfield or Gareth Ainsworth because the two of
Right,
them were there for so many
right,
years.
right. That's brilliant.
And when one was there, the other one wasn't, and oh, yeah,
That's like
so.
is it Peterborough? It's always Darren Ferguson and Grant
Yeah.
McCann. They just sack
Yeah.
one and the other one comes in. So yeah, obviously a bit of a boost for Blues that they were doing probably punching above their weight a bit, doing so well under Matt Bloomfield. I
Oh
actually think
yeah.
it'll probably be quite a good appointment for Luton. I could see him being quite a good fit. So our only hope is they, for our sake, they get someone worse and hopefully someone who can't quite hit the ground running with them.
But
Um,
it's a tough act to follow.
it really is. Yeah, I bet they're gutted to lose him. He did a great job there. So yeah, that's kind of all I already have on the Blues front. Have you got any housekeeping with Villa, Cal?
Just transfer stuff, and we don't talk about transfer speculation, but we talk about transfers that have happened. And so we announced yesterday, the day before, that Daniel Marlin has come in from Borussia Dortmund for about £22 million, and that Jaden Philogene has now gone to Ipswich. Really disappointed that the Philogene move hasn't worked out. I never wanted to sell him the start of last season when he went to Hull because he was one of the few academy players that has broke through where I've really been impressed by what I saw, and I think he's got a really big future. He's only 22, I think, and he was so good at Hull last year, and so I really wanted us to bring him back. I'm glad that we did. It just hasn't really worked out. He has struggled for minutes, and in the games other than the Bayern Munich game where he was my man of the match that night, um, he has just really, really struggled in general, and I don't think he's registered any goals or assists. So, um, the club have obviously needed to strengthen that department because having lost Musa Diaby in the summer and Leon Bailey struggled for form and Philogene struggled, we've had to get someone in, and we're very much in struggling with PSR in some regard, or certainly in January, the wisest thing you can do when the market is players cost a bit more in January is one in, one out, probably around the same sort of fees. And to for a player that, you know, we kind of bought him back for somewhere around the £8 million mark when you knock off the add-ons and stuff that never happened with the original move to Hull, to flog him for 22 million quid for a player that's only played a handful of Premier League games is incredible business. And I think even though he was an academy player that left and we bought back, I think he still classes as pure profit. But that's one for the numbers guys to work out really. So Marlon, I know absolutely nothing about him. I've heard that he's quick and pacey, and well, yeah. I mean, we need a bit of pace in the team, and yeah, we'll see how he goes. Really, I do not know what to expect. He's not like say like an Ian Matson who came in the summer, and I've got really high expectations for, and he hasn't really hit those heights yet. This is a player that comes in kind of with 20 million quid is kind of a bargain these days for a player, especially at the
Yeah.
Premier League level and or Champions League level that I guess we're kind of at the moment. Yeah, let's see what he can do. And I imagine he'll be bedded in quite slowly. Unai Emery tends to bed players in quite slowly. And we're seeing that with Ian Matson. We saw it with Yuri Tielemans last year. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Shall we just go straight into the games that are coming up?
One more
Or have you
thing
got
before
one
that.
more thing?
Yes, I don't know if you've seen. So obviously we mainly talk about Blues and Villa, but we do like to look at the other Midlands clubs and so on. I don't know if you've seen, Cal, some rumours about West Brom this week.
I have heard a rumor, and I kind of hope
Yes.
it's true.
Yeah, well, so obviously Baggies lost Carlos Corberán around Christmas. I think it was at Christmas
Christmas
Eve even.
Eve, 10 p.m. on
Um,
Christmas Eve. Merry
oh
Christmas.
yes, ouch. That's cold for them this year. And yeah, so he went to Valencia, and so Chris Brunt and Bose have been taking interim charge. Baggies, obviously, we touched on them a bit last week, I think, but they still haven't made a permanent appointment. But the kind of rumours going around today, as we're recording, was that Tony Mowbray maybe having discussions. Nothing as of yet has been confirmed. It's all rumours. Apparently, there's been some conversations taking place over the last few days. Obviously, Tony Mowbray managed the Baggies. I think he was there 2006 to 2009, is what I want to say.
The David Moyes
Um,
thing, isn't it? It's the David Moyes thing again.
yeah, it is. Yeah, and obviously Mowbray was Blues manager this time last year. I think it was a year to the day that he
Yeah.
was just starting at Blues. Obviously, he then left Blues due to his health, which is a huge shame. Obviously, my primary thought with all this, if it does happen, that means he's well enough to be managing again, which is wonderful news and is the main thing I would take out of this. My other thing is kind of jealousy. I know it's like he should be ours. I've said on this before. Mowbray was he only managed like 8 games with Blues, I think it was, but he was like he's one of my favorite Blues managers ever. The guy- like just in those 8 games,
It's why
some
I'm
of
glad.
the
That's why I'm glad he left because I quite
yeah.
like Tony Mowbray.
Oh, he's brilliant. Like some of the football we were playing under him was. I always mention. I know we lost against Leicester in the cup, but the first half was just like we did everything but score against the better team. Sorry, against the weaker team, in the championship. Like yeah, we were playing the best team in the championship in Leicester. Anyone else, we'd have obliterated them that day. So if he does go back to West Brom, obviously it's West Brom, so I don't want him to do too well, but absolutely good luck to him if it does happen. Definitely one to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, and it sounds like his health might be getting a bit better, which is great to hear as well.
Yeah.
Um, Games. So we are the Saturday night late kickoff, which is I kind of like that slot. I really do. Because it's still winter, it'll be under the lights at the Emirates Stadium because we're playing. Some TNT Sports said the other day, title chasing Arsenal and
Uh,
uh,
chasing, yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
chasing, yeah, yeah. I don't think I don't think. It'd be amazing if they win the title, but it's a very tough game, and they have a bit. They have struggled a little bit recently. I mean, they just won in the North London derby the other night, but they seem a bit wounded at the moment.
yeah,
They're struggling for goals a little bit, um, and I think because we've just sort of our form's just starting to peak up a bit. I'm really up for it. Obviously it's a big game in our group chat because Will, who was on the podcast before, is an Arsenal fan, so it's obviously a big fixture anyway for us. So yeah, I really hope we can go there and give them a good game. I am concerned with the fact that we don't keep many clean sheets and we do give away a lot of chances that um yeah, if we walk away, until the Everton game, our last clean sheet was away at Arsenal. So, um, in the Premier League. So, it's going to be tough. Offer me a point, I'll take it now. But I'm up for it, and I think we can give them a really good game. And yeah, and then we're on to the Champions League, which we'll talk about next week, hopefully.
yeah. One last point on playing Arsenal. I know you've played a lot of games yourself, but I wonder if their game against Newcastle in the cup, and then that extra time and
Mm,
penalties game against Man United, and
yeah,
then a North London derby in midweek. I
and they
would
are
not be
missing some
shocked if
key
they're
players as
just.
well.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they're just completely drained at this point. Seems like they've played a lot of big games. Like all priority games.
And they got the obviously
Um,
they got two Champions League games like us
yeah.
coming up in the next couple of weeks as well, which are massive because both of us are gunning for the top eight and not go into that playoff round. So yeah, it will be an intriguing fixture to see how kind of both teams kind of manage it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. We've got the slightly less glamorous fixture, 3 o'clock on Saturday, Exeter at home. Just a heads up, I believe I don't think I can make it to this one, unfortunately. It'll be the first home league game I've missed this season, I believe. I knew it was like I was always going to end up missing a couple. It happens every year, so I think this is one, just due to circumstances. Um, so yeah, but we've already played Exeter twice this season. They're managed by Gary Caldwell, brother of Stephen Caldwell, who used to be a centre back for Blues. We played them twice away. They were only about 2 weeks apart in November as well, and we beat them. I think it was was it 2-0 in the league and 2-1 in the cup, I think is correct. That time they were going along quite nicely. They were like ninth in the league. They've had a bit of a downturn in form since they've only won, I think, three of their last 14 games, I think it is. So they've dropped all the way down to, I say all the way down, they've dropped to 15th now, which is a little bit disappointing for them. I think they finished like, was it them who finished around the playoffs a couple of years ago? So yeah, that'll be underwhelming for them. So I think it'll be probably another 2-0 home win, like 99% of our home wins this season. So yeah, Exeter at home, and then the following week a week tonight of our recording. So on the Thursday, we got a big game against Wrexham, but like you mentioned, we'll talk about that next week.
And that, I think, is that for this week.
Yeah, it is.
The podcasts are coming thick and fast. The games are coming thick and fast, and there's quite a lot to pack into these episodes at the moment. So if you are still watching and listening, thank you very much for being here today. Remember to like, share, subscribe, especially if you're on YouTube. We just hit 300 subscribers, so yay!
Yeah, lovely.
Um, let's go. Let's head to 500. That's the big milestone we're heading to next. So.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's 2025, Dan. We're thinking big things for the podcast this year. We're hopeful for what this year can bring for us. So, thank you very much for being on the ride. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next week, Dan, and up the Villa.
Thank you as well, mate. Enjoyed that. Shit on the Villa. Keep right on, and see you next time.